Ladies and gentlemen, our program begins in 5 minutes. Please take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, our program begins in 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NCMA Executive Director David Miller.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start tonight, I would like to ask you to welcome Kyle Petty for tonight's invocation. I'll spot Kyle in a minute. Hey, there you are. There you are. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you, dude. So I'm filling in for about, I told somebody out in the lobby, I'm like, it's like watching a soap opera. So it's like the role of Billy Malden will be played by Kyle Petty this evening. So then when we do the Michael thing, then I'm taking Mike Helton's place too. So I've got a couple of different roles, but let's bow our head and say grace. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this evening and the opportunity to be here tonight. And we just thank you for each and every recipient, the Waltrip family, all that they have meant to the sport. Greg Biffle, we just thank you for so many people that are here, the people that aren't here. And we just thank you for the opportunity that you give us in this sport and in this country and in this state to be a witness for you and to do things good and to do things good in your name. And tonight is a shining example of that. And we just ask, as we come to you this evening, that you bless this food to the nourishment of our body and protect each and every one of us as we travel home or travel to wherever we go, and always help us to keep you first. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we get started, we are invited to eat. Please feel free to start your dinner because it's going to run through the show a little bit, and so we want you to begin now. But I wanted to take this moment to just make a couple of notes. And by the way, electronic memory is great. A guy like me needs all the help he can get, so I appreciate this on my screen here real quick. But I wanted to take a moment to thank the NCMA Board of Directors. They have just been tireless on what they do for the association, both publicly and behind the scenes. And I thank all of you board members very much. For those who need to know who they are on the front cover of your program on your table. If you don't know them, get to know them and thank them for what we do. And appreciate it very much. I also want to thank the folks with Taffy Productions and the HPX show. For those of you who have not been to the show thus far, part of the reason we moved this here is to blend it with the HPX show. We felt like it was a good blend of things, and so this is the first year for doing this. And I thank all of the folks from HPX for a wonderful night and putting this event on. So thank you very much. Now, I told you I was going to be brief, and I meant it. I would like to, at this point, have Scott Lampe. Scott Lampe is the president of Hendrick Motorsports Technical Solutions and the NCMA vice chairman. Scott, please join us on stage. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good evening. Good evening. Hendrick Motorsports Technical Solutions, what the heck is that? So maybe I'll start with, it's kind of a neat sort of connection. One of the things that's happened, for those of you who follow economic development, one of the things they'll tell you is they talk about related industries and how you can pivot into other areas. And one of the things that's happened in the cluster of motorsports, particularly around stock car racing and NASCAR in this area, is that a lot of companies have come here and gotten into other areas. There's been companies like ourselves, Joe Gibbs Racing, Richard Childress Racing, Corvid Technologies, MSI, that have gotten into the defense, aerospace industries as a related way. And we feel like HPX is an extension of that. One of the things the North Carolina Motorsports Association has always tried to do since it was formed in 2002 is be an advocate and a voice for everything that happens in motorsports in and around it. And one of the most interesting things, in my opinion, is the way the industry has grown and advanced. And not only the pure racing piece, but the ancillary businesses and the support businesses around it. I see our man Greg Finelli down here, who's who's made a wonderful business out of not only supporting the racing business, but as ourselves and other businesses around us have pivoted into other areas, he's been there to help us, and I've been a big supporter of that. I see Wendy Stallings out here, same thing, right? Started out kind of working in racing, and as the world has evolved, this has evolved. I saw Dave Craven here from North Carolina, from kind of the eastern part of the state. All of these things have come together to be part of the community that makes all of this happen, and we feel like the HPX can be the epitome of this. We have talked about having a trade show in North Carolina that supports not only racing itself, but all the suppliers that go with it, the professionals that go with it, the bankers, the insurance agents, the lawyers, even the lawyers, God bless them, right? You have to have all of those things to make it happen, and we're starting to see that happen. For those of us who were around in 2002 when we had our very first banquet, we told this story about how we were serving chicken tonight, and our goal was to have steak, right? And that's what we're having. I have no idea what we're actually having for dinner tonight, but I'm telling you, this event, this is the steak event. The original was in a little hotel lobby, right? There was like 25 of us there, right? And I think we actually had chicken sandwiches from Panera. Right? So whatever you have tonight, this is an upgrade. We're in downtown Charlotte. We're in the beautiful convention center. As David said, we have Taffy Events working with us. Like this is, the moon is the next shot, right? Like Elon, and we might just go to Mars with Elon, right? Like we'll skip the moon, right? This is a tremendous opportunity for all of us, and we are so glad you're here. It's my privilege to welcome you here. I want to recognize all the NCMA. If you're part of our board of directors from the NCMA, I see Brad over there in the corner. Come on, all of y'all stand up. If you're Steve Earwood, the Godfather, thank you for being here. David Morton, who's doing a wonderful job as our acting chairman, thank you for being here. This is going to be a wonderful evening. Enjoy your dinner. I want to introduce the man, the legend, Mr. Winston Kelly.
We need to get Scott a new dictionary so he knows really what legends is. Speaking of legends, did see the King is with us tonight, Richard Petty. Now there is a real legend, so give him a round of applause. But you know, with the NCMA being the essentially Chamber of Commerce for motorsports, one of the things that we all endeavor to do is give back. And a partner organization with the NCMA is the North Carolina Motorsports Foundation, which is our 501c3, whose mission is to support the racing industry in North Carolina through educational initiatives. And to facilitate that, we provide scholarships every year to students in North Carolina that's seeking careers in motorsports. That's basically the criteria, and we get dozens and dozens of applications each year. And there are two different types of scholarships, a couple that are from our general fund gifts, and the Sam Bell Navis Scholarship that's given in honor of Sam Bell Navis, who spent more than 30 years in our industry with Miller Brewing, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, and was a big part of the NCMF. And the majority of the North Carolina Motorsports Foundation funding comes from the license plates that are NASCAR branded. So if you don't already have one, join us in getting one. And we were able to give out earlier this year 3 scholarships, one to Alicia Diaz, who goes to NASCAR, the NASCAR Technical Institute, and aspires to work in engine development as well as becoming a NASCAR pit crew member. Joshua Cordell from Rowan Cabarrus Community College is pursuing a degree in motorsports management, specializing in marketing, advertising, and sponsorship. And Daniel Dean from Belmont Abbey has pursued a bachelor in motorsports management, finished there, cum laude. They told me to come quietly when I left. But he's also currently pursuing a Master of Business Administration concentrating in motorsports management. So those are our future leaders, and it comes from the license plates, and we look to re-energize our fundraising. So want to recognize them, and if you're so interested, please let us know. Scott mentioned, graduating to steak, which we have done in the past. I will promise you, this is the best banquet food that you will ever have, prepared by our great partners at the Charlotte Convention Center. And yes, it is filet steak. So enjoy your dinner. We'll be back for the program in just a little bit. Thanks for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NASCAR Hall of Fame Executive Director Winston Kelly.
Minute earlier, I'd have been MIA. All right. Is everybody having a good time? Was the meal good or what? How about a round of applause for our friends at the Charlotte Convention Center? They do a fabulous job. So we want to begin this evening's ceremony with a couple of very special recognitions. For the first one, please welcome fellow NCMA board member, Wendy Stallings. Wendy?
Good evening. So tonight we are going to recognize a friend of mine who I think has already been called the godfather of the NCMA. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we recognize and appreciate the remarkable legacy of a man whose vision and passion and perseverance have left an indelible mark on drag racing, not just in North Carolina, but beyond. Steve Earwood's journey in motorsports began long before he acquired Rockingham Dragway. Steve was a leader at Texas Motorplex and at Atlanta Dragway before landing with his roots in Rockingham. When Steve purchased Rockingham Dragway, affectionately known as The Rock, a facility hosting only 2 major events annually, through his unwavering commitment, he transformed it into one of the nation's most active drag racing venues, operating nearly year-round. Under his stewardship, the track hosted the NHRA Winston Invitational from 92 until 98, which became one of the most successful all-star events in drag racing history. His dedication has been recognized through numerous accolades. He was twice named the IHRA's Promoter of the Year. He was recipient of the NHRA Southeast Division Person of the Year. He was inducted into the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame, where he also received the prestigious Founders Award. He was honored by North Carolina with the Order of the Longleaf Pine, which was given to those who have made significant contributions to our state. He was also honored with the Jeff Bird Memorial Award for Lifetime Achievements. He has also served on the board of the Racers for Christ. Beyond the track, Steve has been an amazing advocate for motorsports, not just in North Carolina, but all around the country. As a founding member of the North Carolina Motorsports Association and a founding member of the Governor's Motorsports Council, he has worked tirelessly to promote the industry and its economic benefit to this state. Without Steve Earwood and those that sat around the first North Carolina Motorsports Association board meeting, we would not be gathered here today. Steve was the chairman of the NCMA. He was the champion for all motorsports in North Carolina, and he was a friend to all in motorsports. Steve Earwood's legacy is not only just in the events he hosted, but in the community that he has built, the opportunities he has created, and the sport he has elevated. His life's work stands as a testament to what vision, dedication can achieve. We thank you for your leadership in motorsports, and specifically this evening for your leadership and vision for the North Carolina Motorsports Association. I personally have relied on Steve as a colleague, but also as a trusted advisor, and most importantly, a friend. I may be biased, but I can say that Steve's faith in Jesus Christ shines through, which is truly his greatest attribute. Please join me in honoring Steve Earwood and extending our immense gratitude to a man that is a true pioneer and a champion of drag racing and all racing, and most importantly, our friend and my friend, Steve Earwood.
that completely caught me by surprise. If I'd known I was going to be called up here, I got a haircut. I sincerely appreciate this, and it's been a wonderful career. I spent 50 years promoting drag racing, and when we had that first meeting in 2002, well, obviously we were overwhelmed by NASCAR and stock car racing, and our goal was to make Raleigh aware of how big motorsports is in our state, and Raleigh certainly has caught on to that, and I'm most appreciative of what the state has done for our sport. I always wanted to stay a part of the organization because we are at the center of the universe of NASCAR racing, which is wonderful, but I wanted to make sure that drag racing had a voice. I sincerely appreciate all of my board members who have tolerated me and tolerated our sport, scratch racers, as you NASCAR guys call us. But it's been a great journey, and it's been my highest honor as serving on this board all these many years. God bless.
Now I'd like to introduce Dave Morton for our next Appreciation Award.
Well, good evening, everyone, and Steve, congratulations. That is an honor, certainly well deserved. But we have someone else we would like to honor tonight, celebrating their contributions as well, who's you could say their tire tracks are all over the growth and success of motorsports throughout North Carolina, and maybe perhaps much to his chagrin, it's the NCMA Executive Director, David Miller. After 12 years of leading the North Carolina Motorsports Association, and I hope I'm doing you justice, 50 years in the motorsports industry, he's obviously started at a young age. David is officially retiring. David's career stands as a legacy of passion, leadership, and vision. Before he took the wheel of the NCMA, he was at Circle Track magazine, helping shape the voice of grassroots racing, as well as at top camshaft companies in the business, because if it had to do with horsepower and speed, David was never far away from it. But to truly understand the depth of David's impact, I think that we need to hear from someone who's been alongside him for much of the journey, someone who is not only a respected leader in the industry, but also a close friend and longtime colleague of David's. So please join me in welcoming Doug Evans, former chairman of SEMA and veteran industry executive, to share a few words about David's remarkable career.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. It's my great pleasure to say a few words on behalf of my longtime friend and colleague, David Miller. David and I go back, David, could it possibly be over 30 years? It is, actually. David was one of my editors when we acquired another company, and we got stock car racing open wheel, and he quickly absorbed Circle Track because of his talent. And he made his impact immediately felt across the board. He also helped me produce an event called the Circle Track Racing Expo, which kind of explains his imprint on this event here. I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of very talented editorial people throughout my career. And I've always felt it was my job to just kind of clear the way and get them what the space they needed to deliver the material to entertain and inform our readers. There is nobody on the planet who did that better than David Miller. He was a standout among standouts. Over the course of time we worked together, David developed an audience for Circle Track whose households each owned over 2 race cars per household. And there were over 100,000 of those people. And he did it all with a smile, month after month, and his team followed him relentlessly, and they were always in a great mood and entertaining our readers nationwide. So I appreciate that. he is definitely in one of the finest editors I've ever had the privilege of working with. And he did all of this by also getting along with corporate guys like me, which is, you know, oh, David, are you over it? Yeah? Through it all, he remained wonderfully approachable and just a nice human being. So, David, I want to thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, it's just awesome that we're here to honor him. And David, in your retirement, the imprint that you've left on this organization and the industry will be felt for generations to come. And enjoy yourself, my friend. You've earned it, and you deserve to have a great time, and don't be a stranger. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. That was a wonderful tribute to David Miller, and a testament to the kind of respect and admiration David has earned throughout his career. We've certainly all witnessed it at the North Carolina Motorsports Association for his tenure here, which I've been fortunate enough to be part of for over a decade alongside of him. I'd like to take a few moments to talk about those contributions that he made as executive director of the NCMA. And there's many to talk about, but I'll keep it concise as I can. Under David's leadership, the NCMA didn't just grow, it got stronger, more focused, and more impactful. It took what was already a respected organization and made it better, more connected to the industry, more engaged with its members, and more influential in shaping the future of motorsports in North Carolina. He brought to life his vision of an NCMA trade show by partnering with Dr. Jamie Meyer and Taffy Events to create what we've been enjoying the last couple of days, the High Performance Expo. What started as an idea became a reality through bringing together innovators, builders, and dreamers from all across the industry. He also led the successful merger of the North Carolina Motorsports Foundation into the NCMA, uniting our efforts under one banner and strengthening our mission. David didn't just talk about supporting the industry, though. He put his own skin in the game. He ramped up fundraising efforts to drive more scholarships to help future generations in racing, even donating pieces of his own racing memorabilia. That's right, he literally gave us a shirt off his back, or at least a fire suit off his wall or out of his closet. He strengthened our relationship with NASCAR, ensuring that the NCMA remained a respected voice and a partner at the highest levels of racing. And of course, he elevated this very event here tonight, the tribute awards that we have enjoyed giving to many well-deserving people in our sport. And tonight is a perfect example of the kind of legacy he leaves behind, one that honors the past, that celebrates the present, and builds towards the future. David, your impact can't be measured in laps or trophies. It's measured in the people you've touched, many of them here tonight, the tremendous work you've done, which we all have benefited from over the last 12 years, and the passion that you've passed on that we will carry on thanks to you. By all accounts, I think this puts you among an elite group who've made it to victory lane. So on behalf of all of us at the NCMA and the entire motorsports community, thank you. Sincerely, thank you very much for what you've done. Thank you for the vision, your generosity, your heart, and it kills me to say this, and yes, even your humor. And now, if everyone will join me, we'd like to present a nice remembrance of David's contributions with a plaque as a small token of our immense gratitude. David, if you mind coming up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I don't do this well, but thank you so much. This has just been a fun ride, just a fun ride. I don't know how else to say it. I told you I get emotional at this stuff, but thank you all very much, and I hope to see every one of you, and thank you personally. Have a good evening, and thank you very much. And by the way, you should be an editor. Thank you very much.
David is in charge of most of the run of show. He didn't have any input into that, but I think David Morton said it very well. So thanks to both you, to David Miller, Steve Earwood. The King always reminds me is that we all stand on the foundation of those that came before us. He even lobbied against himself going in the first class of the NASCAR Hall of Fame because he thought it should be Raymond Parks, maybe his dad, Bill French Sr. And while the voters didn't agree with that, that's the kind of respect I think we should show people like Steve and David, because they're the folks that helped build this foundation. So our next award for tonight, and David, I'm going back on script if you're worried, is the Jim Hunter Memorial Media Award, which is presented by Fifth Third Bank. Fifth Third Bank has roots in the Midwest that date back before the Model T. And know to my staff, I wasn't there then, but it was close. Fifth Third Bank has a history of serving the needs of automotive companies. Much has changed over the years, but not their passion. Today, they're more committed than ever as longstanding NCMA members, an exhibitor at HPX, PRI, and SEMA trade shows. They're also a corporate team partner in several premier racing series, making them a fifth third better in motorsports. As last year's recipient of this award, I am honored to present this year's Jim Hunter Memorial Award. Someone I have known, admired, covered his driving career as a broadcaster, ridden motorcycles across the country numerous times, and analyzed and compared our perspectives on the history of NASCAR together for decades. Words I'd use to describe him: eclectic, a chameleon. I mean, he can even say the prayer and fill in, as well as be a great broadcaster. Multi-talented, caring, and energetic. We tried to get the Energizer Bunny to have a competition with him, and he turned us down. The dude's got, what, a 7, 5, and 3-year-old that they have a hard time keeping up with their dad. Among his professions, hobbies, and areas of prowess include race car driver that we all know about, race team owner, high school football star, philanthropist leading the Kyle Petty charity ride going into its 30th anniversary next year, turning an indescribable tragedy into a remarkable charity for critically and terminally ill children with Victory Junction Gang Camp, turning his son Adam's dream into a reality in his honor. He's an accomplished musician, played on the Grand Ole Opry stage, a loving son, brother, husband, father, and grandfather, all of which may be one of his outstanding roles. Tonight he's being honored, though, as a multi-talented member of the media, an analyst, one of the original driver analysts who continues to work in many different mediums. A podcast, if you've never heard Coffee with Kyle, you ought to look it up on YouTube. MC extraordinaire, a storyteller, either by himself or drawing out others like legendary Raymond Parks. A TV host, if you've never seen Dinner Drive with Kyle, where he visits with celebrities at their house, guests like Mario Andretti, Darius Rucker, Herschel Walker, Ric Flair, and Davis Love, just to name a few. Recognized as one of the most insightful, honest, and articulate to simplify a wide range of topics. And that just touches on a portion of his abilities behind the microphone and camera. And all that said, he's going to come up here and he's going to be self-deprecating and suggest that I have embellished things, while in fact I have given a very short, very simple, and abbreviated version of why this man deserves this year's Jim Hunter Memorial Media Recognition from the North Carolina Motorsports Association. Please welcome Kyle Petty.
So that was perfect. He read it exactly like I wrote it. Exactly. That was perfect. Listen, they told me that I was getting a media award, I laughed. Because I just don't consider myself that. I drove a race car just like Michael. And then one day, we didn't drive race cars anymore, but we were still allowed to talk about it, to be a part of it, to walk through the garage area, to be around the people. And that's what I appreciate about what I do more than anything else, is still getting to be a part of the sport, a part of motorsports. Something I grew up with. I tell people all the time, I was 8 or 9 years old before I realized everyone's dad didn't own a race car and drive a race car. I thought that's what everybody did. My broadcasting career and my media career, okay, since it's a media award, started with my man, Michael Waltrip. I went to work for ESPN came and they said, hey, you want to be a pit reporter? And I'm like, yeah. I don't even watch races on Saturday. They said, come to pit road. This is what we're going to do. They told me what to do. My very first interview, they said, go to Michael. You guys are friends. Y'all can do this. So I told Michael, I said, I'm coming by the car. I'm going to talk to you a little bit. So I show up at his window, and he's sitting there in the car, and I thought, and I came up with just a great question. How are you going to run today? A lot of thought went into that question. I had the microphone. I said, I'm here with Michael Waltrip. How are you going to run today? And I popped the microphone through the window, and he does this. Never said a word. Never said a word. And they're screaming in my ear that my microphone's off. You know, and then he starts laughing. And pretty much my career has been downhill from there. Okay? I will say that. But that's the cool part about it. And that has been the cool part for me, is to be able to sit down. And Michael and I, yesterday, we spent the day with Ross Chastain and Christopher Bell. It's just cool to be able to go back and talk to those guys and be around this generation. I grew up with my dad and Pearson and Cale and all those guys, and then watched Darrell come into the sport, and then watched Michael come into the sport, and Rusty and Earnhardt and Joey Logano and everybody. So I've been here for a pretty good while, obviously. But that's the fun part. So, and I knew Jim Hunter, so this is a huge honor. But I do have to tell you this. When they did say, you know, come get this award, you know, it's like, it brought back just a crazy memory for me. When I was in high school, and you'd take a test, and I think Greg can relate to this. I think you can relate to this. When you'd take a test, you know what I mean, and they'd take it home and study and grade it, the teacher would, and she would come back and they'd pass them out in class. And you just didn't even want to open it up, you know what I mean? Because you're just so afraid. And they'd open that thing up, and there'd be a D- on it. And I'd say, hell yeah. I passed. So tonight, as I receive this award, I say, hell yeah, I passed. Thank you, guys. Thank you, man. No. Thank you.
I'm going to give him at least an A-, working on an A+. Our next award is presented by Wells Fargo, a national diversified community-based financial services company that provides banking, insurance, investments, mortgage, and commercial finance services. Tonight, we're privileged to begin a new tradition with a presentation of the NCMA Philanthropy Award. To make the presentation, please welcome NCMA board member and Vice President of Marketing Services at NASCAR, Patrick Rogers. Patrick.
Thank you, Winston. Congratulations, Steve and David and Kyle. Well deserved. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here to recognize someone who stepped up when it mattered most. When Hurricane Helene struck the mountains of North Carolina and surrounding areas, this individual didn't hesitate to engage. He organized supplies, coordinated relief efforts, and he gave his time, energy, and heart to families to help them rebuild and recover. And he inspired countless others to get involved. His actions showed what true leadership and compassion look like. He brought hope when it was needed most, and the impact will be felt for years. In recognition of his outstanding efforts, please join me in congratulating Greg Biffle as this year's recipient of the NCMA Philanthropy Award. Greg could not be with us this evening, but he did want to share his gratitude via video, so please turn your attention to the screens.
First of all, I'd like to thank NCMA for this wonderful recognition award. Unfortunately, I can't be there in person to accept this award due to a scheduling conflict. What started out to be helping one family in Western North Carolina turned into 13 days and nearly 60 flight hours of helping deliver critical supplies to people. I'd like to thank the thousands of volunteers that helped make all of that possible. Again, thank you for recognizing me for the work that was done in Western North Carolina, and look forward to seeing everyone soon.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Our next award is sponsored by Truist Bank, a financial organization committed to meeting the needs of their customers through industry-specific expertise. And this award tonight is presented to the state of North Carolina. As Steve recognized earlier, the state of North Carolina has been a remarkable supporter of motorsports for as long as I recall. And I attended my very first race in North Carolina, the second overall, 61 years ago at the Memorial Day weekend, then the World 600. And as strong as that support has been for years, it accelerated exponentially over the last several years when over $45 million covering 17 venues across the state were provided funding to assist with COVID recovery and continue the incredible economic impact on local tourism, travel, and hospitality. This support was a catalyst to the return of NASCAR Cup Series racing in North Wilkesboro and Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, return to NASCAR racing at Rockingham Speedway, for improvements at the Charlotte Motor Speedway and numerous other tracks like Caraway Speedway in Randolph County, the birthplace of stars, Hickory Motor Speedway, Tri-County Speedway in Hudson, North Carolina, and Rockingham Dragway, just to name a few. And we're honored to have members of the General Assembly tonight who've been a big part of that. So if you would please welcome to the stage to accept the award, Senator Dave Craven, representing Senate District number 29, that includes Anson, Montgomery, Randolph, Richmond, and Union counties, and Representative John Torbett, representing NC 108th District in the House from Gaston County. Gentlemen, if you would please join us on the stage.
Good evening. I'm John Torbett from Gaston County. It's a short swim across the Catawba from here. I want to start this evening by saying our prayers continue for Greg's speedy recovery. We wish him the best. Guys, we're both honored to be here, and I'm humbled because actually it should be us giving y'all the award. You guys are the ones that bring the money to not only Gaston County, but to the state of North Carolina through Motorsports. I've been honored in my 16 years of service to chair the North Carolina Motorsports Caucus, both the House and Senate in Raleigh. Wow. What you guys do for the state. It's just amazing. And I'm here to tell you that you heard some of the funds that have been coming out in years. We're not done. We're just getting started. Okay, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And one more thing, and I want you to leave with this. I'll leave it to Senator Craven. 249 years ago, this state of North Carolina became part of the United States. And our founders decided not to have a king, but to have a republic. But by golly, North Carolina, we're keeping our king. Sir Richard, long live the king, sir.
Folks, good evening. On the behalf of the state of North Carolina, the North Carolina Senate, I want to say thank you for recognizing what we do. But I will remind you, these are all of our tax dollars, and we chase return on investment in the great state of North Carolina. And so we are putting money back into the motorsports industry because we know the economic impact it has on this state. Growing up in Randolph County, it's easy to be a race fan with the Petty family. I have the privilege of having Rockingham Speedway in the district as well. So love what you do. We are so appreciative, and we look forward to doing more and more to continue to help this industry shine in our great state. I am so happy we have 4 Cup Series events now, which is the most of any state in the nation. So keep up the good work. God bless you all. Thank you.
And let's not forget, motorsports is a $6 billion. That got a lot of people's attention a number of years ago. It proved we weren't just a bunch of rednecks going around in circles. I didn't say we weren't rednecks going around in circles, but it proved the financial impact. So, Senator Representative, thank you so much for being here. Now it's time for the Achievement in Motorsports Tribute Award presented by SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel and our man Greg Fernelli, a company that provides raw materials, shop supplies, and performance parts to the racing industry. The annual NCMA banquet celebrates the pinnacle of excellence in our sport with the Achievement in Motorsports Tribute Award reserved for a select few. Tonight we honor the careers of 2 legendary NASCAR drivers, members of the media, personalities, and incredible ambassadors for NASCAR and the motorsports industry for more than 50 years. 2 gentlemen who also happen to be brothers, Darrell Waltrip and Michael Waltrip. Before the trophies are presented, let's take a brief look back at their tremendous contribution to the sport of racing. Please turn your attention to the video.
It's still Waltrip out in front. It's a drag race to the finish line. Michael Waltrip into the picture. You got it, Mikey!
Few brothers have had a more lasting impact on motorsports than Darrell and Michael Waltrip from Owensboro, Kentucky. The only brothers in NASCAR history to have both won the Daytona 500. Darrell made a bold entrance into the NASCAR Cup Series in the early 1970s, earning a reputation for his speed, wit, and strategy. Between 1981 and 1985, Darrell won 3 Cup championships while driving for Junior Johnson. In 1989, DW achieved a crowning moment by winning the Daytona 500 while driving for Rick Hendrick.
Oh, I won the Daytona 500! I won the Daytona 500!
Following his driving career, Darrell continued to enhance NASCAR's popularity with a lengthy tenure in the television broadcast booth for Fox Sports, where he made boogity, boogity, boogity a household phrase.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Ooh, let's go racing today, boys!
With 84 career wins, Darrell was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2012. Darrell's broadcasting career debut with Fox in 2001 brought him great joy and sorrow. His brother Michael earned his first career win in the Daytona 500, while the sport also faced the loss of Dale Earnhardt. For Michael, that win at Daytona capped a long journey in the sport, which began with karting and later progressed to the NASCAR Dash Series, where he captured a championship in 1983. Michael made his Cup debut in 1985 and began a career that included 2 Daytona 500 wins, a 400 victory, and a Talladega Cup win for Napa and Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. He also won the Winston All-Star Race driving for the Wood brothers. He's among a select group of drivers who have won in all 3 NASCAR National Touring Series, with 11 wins in the Xfinity Series and 1 in the Craftsman Truck Series. Michael expanded NASCAR's reach by appearing on Dancing with the Stars and serving in various roles throughout his successful broadcasting career, which continues on Fox. The Waltrip brothers had a significant impact on the track. In broadcasting, their influence increased the sport's popularity, and their most outstanding achievements continue through their charity foundation and tireless efforts to support worthwhile causes across the sporting world. Congratulations to this year's NCMA Achievement in Motorsports Tribute Award recipients, Darrell and Michael Waltrip.
To accept the Tribute in Motorsports Award, please welcome to the stage Michael Waltrip.
Oh, thank y'all so much for tonight. I'm so sad my brother couldn't be here. Darrell deserves so much to be standing beside me. It's crazy when you talk about my career. There's been great accomplishments, and I'm very proud of that. But you know, there's a lot of sorrow losing Dale the day I won my first race, and you know, just the emotions. And people say all the time, I don't want to bring it up. Well, I live with it, and I'm really thankful that it still feels, I'm still emotional about it. That means how important it was to me. I would like to start my thank you speech by saying, Kyle Petty, Richard Petty, if it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't be standing here tonight. And that is crazy to say, because you're like, he's Darrell's little brother. What the hell is he talking about? Well, when I was a kid in Kentucky, my brother said, I don't have a ride for you, brother. You got to figure it out. And Kyle and Richard said, you can move in with us, and you can, if you can make your way in North Carolina, good luck. And that got me started in this world of NASCAR racing. And thanks to Kyle and Richard, I was able to make a career of it. So not only is the king, and Kyle did such a great job of saying how important making D-minuses is, you know, it's just tells you what kind of people they are, and I'm really thankful for them. To Greg Finelli, the NCMA, you guys are enhancing, you're growing, you're continuing how important the sport is in North Carolina. And earlier we heard talk about, you know, the first banquet in 2002, and here we are in 2025. It just shows how much persistence and preservations you guys have for the NCMA, and I appreciate that. I'm honored and I'm thankful, and I would like to say that the best part of tonight is this wonderful table 3. My family is here with me, and it's really fun to have everybody together tonight. And I guess we're going to have a chat. And I want to say one thing about Winston Kelly. So Richard and Kyle will appreciate this. He used to be the PA announcer at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And now look at him. So he would sit there and say, don't forget to get your hot dogs and cotton candy at the... Is that not exactly correct? And so just remember, whether you're making D-minuses or how little your role is today, maybe one day, you can turn into this.
Yeah, if they set their sights low enough, they're easier to achieve. Is that what you mean? Well, one of the things that's become a signature of this event is the fireside chat. So take a seat over there, Mikey, and I'd like to welcome up Jeff Hammond, two-time Cup Series crew chief champion, 43 wins, most of those with Darrell Waltrip, and Kyle Petty, won 8 times, on the NASCAR Cup Series, to be a part of the fireside chat. And we're especially honored to have one of the best media personalities to be our moderator tonight. Please welcome Shannon Spake. Shannon, take it away.
Hey, where you want us to set?
Congratulations. I'll sit there. Kyle, how are you? Good to see you. Congratulations. Hi, Chef. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm going to. Hi, everyone. This is such an honor for me. First of all, I'd like to thank David and once again congratulate him for everything that he's accomplished, and especially getting this entire group of people here this season to kind of celebrate the sport that we all love. So thank you very much, David. I appreciate you very much. And I appreciate this group more than anything. I have been so blessed to spend time with each and every one of these gentlemen. I not only call them colleagues, but I certainly call them friends. Haven't seen Jeff in about a year. I see Mikey all the time and Kyle as well. I want to know, how old were you when you moved in with the King?
I was 19 years old. I moved in with Kyle first, and it was a great 3 months.
You got any story? Come on, Kyle. You have to have one story for us,
All good
don't
things
you?
come to an end.
Yeah, so I evidently left my tennis shoes in the living room, and they stunk. And Kyle threw them in the lake.
Yes.
And I came in, and
That's
Kyle and I
kinda.
have known each other for, 30 years?
Yeah.
35, 40 years?
Long time.
89, yeah.
Last century.
Yeah. And I've never seen him mad but one time. And that's when I came home that day and my stinky tennis shoes were in the living room and he threw them in the lake.
They were.
And he said, go get them.
Did you?
Well, I knew that was time for me to move.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, got it.
And so then, but I want to say one thing before we get going. Look at this man. Look at that tie. I feel like such a sissy. Look how my tie looks. And look how
about my tie.
Look at that. He's so stylish.
Yeah.
Who did that to you?
Morgan. Thank you for tying my tie, Morgan. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well,
It's a clip-on.
Joy
man
tried
right
to fix
there.
my tie, and this is what we came up with.
It's a clip-on. Hey, I am going to say this. Somebody was talking about rednecks riding around in circles. Winston was, okay? All you got to do is go to Greg's table, and you know there's still rednecks in here, okay? Let me just say that. I just want to give Greg's table a shout-out, okay? Because they have not stopped talking all night long. Not all night long. I know you have. I've sat right behind you. I hadn't heard anything all night.
We're going to have to give Fernelli a
Okay.
pass, right?
Just thought
He
I'd
always
throw that
gets a pass. I want to know from you, because, I feel like at some point you were probably the adult in the room when these kids were running around and doing things on the racetrack. What's your best stories about Kyle Petty and Michael Waltrip?
Well,
No?
do you want me to tell
No. This is not about Kyle Petty. This is about Michael Waltrip and Darrell Waltrip. This is
You're
not-
up here, buddy.
Yeah, this is not.
You are
listen,
up
I'm
here.
just filling
You're
in.
fair game.
I am playing
Stop.
Mike Helton tonight.
No, stop. Stop.
Okay.
I've got the microphone. I've been
Okay.
quiet while you two guys have been jibber jabbering. All right?
Just remember your audience, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
You've
I'm
got to be
playing
careful
the guy
what
right
stories
here
you
in front
tell.
row. If I play to him, there's no way I can be wrong. Right, Greg? Okay. No, we thank everybody's here and understand that, as he pointed out, I've had to deal with these guys for in the last century. Okay, I've been with them a long time. Talking about you playing football. Do you remember we did an article one time and they took a picture of us because they thought that we were something special here in North Carolina because I was an All-American and you were a high school quarterback and everything. But that's when first time I really got introduced to you. But then we turned around and got a little bit more of friends when you were going to Daytona the first time you drove a stock car. And you talking about somebody all of a sudden had eyes bigger than a cartoon character. This guy right here.
Yeah.
You in that Dodge.
As a Dodge Magnum.
Dodge Magnum.
You couldn't fit that Dodge Magnum on the stage. That's how long it was.
Well, you could put all these people in it.
Yeah, we could all rode. Yeah, that's true. That was a big old car.
Do you remember that moment? Do you remember
Going
what
to Daytona?
it was? Yeah, you said wide eyes. Do you remember what it was like?
I went to Daytona. It can be made public, and we're going to get off this in a minute and get to you, Michael. I promise, because this is your award. Okay, is when I graduated high school, and I've told this story a million times. My mom had dreams of me being a pharmacist, and I know all of you are looking at me thinking drug dealer, but she wanted me to be a pharmacist.
Look at the ponytail.
Yeah, so. Finally, they let me go to Daytona. My dad said, if you get that Dodge ready, we'll go test. So Steve Mill and some of the guys at the shop, we worked on it, got it ready, and they decided we were going to Daytona to test. So I had never been in a race car in my life. I'd never driven. They wouldn't let you back it out of the stall. They just took me to Daytona and said, there it is. Go do it. And that's kind of what I did.
How'd you do?
And that was it. Well, I didn't hit anything the first day. I didn't hit anything.
How'd the second day
I didn't
go?
hit anything while I was down there. I came to Charlotte and hit everything there was to hit at Charlotte when I came over here. So Michael came to live with us and build a car. You built a car up there in the back. He built one of. We were talking about the baby grands. What were they called then? I'm sorry.
Darlington Dash.
Darlington Dash. So when they first started, remember they were the baby grands, the little cars. You saw them up here. They were compact cars, and it was the scariest thing in the world to watch people drive those things. Because they'd show up at Daytona and Charlotte and places like that, and they'd wear white gloves. And you could see their hands on the steering wheel like this. And they'd be coming down the straightaway, and their hands would never move, and the car would be over there, and then it would be over there, and then it would be back over here. And because they had such a short wheelbase. But my man here kicked butt 6 ways from Sundays and those things. I'm going to tell you, man, he dominated.
He was Mac Daddy.
He was the man. He was the man in those things, and you had to go through him if you were going to win something. And obviously, he won the championship.
He won the championship that year. But he and I were talking earlier, and I love what you brought up. The first time that I kind of helped him out a little bit.
That was awesome, Jeff. And I have a picture of that I keep in my favorites. It's Jeff and a couple of his crew guys, maybe Mike Hill, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pulling a wagon down to the ARCA garage because I get in this ARCA car and I'm like, Darrell, I can't go straight. Like, I can't go down the straightaway. It's going everywhere. And he said, and Darrell wasn't very hands-on in my career, but he must have seen the scaredness in my eyeballs. And so he said, Hammond, go help him. And Hammond and his guys drag a tool cart down with front end plates and all that crap that they used, and they tuned up my car and they fixed it, and I finished 8th in my first ever race at Daytona, and I'm like, well,
this is easy.
Crew guys are really important.
Yeah.
And so I've had appreciation for Jeff since 1984, I think that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And appreciation for you since that same year, and right now with those socks. Like, I've never felt more, holy crap. I mean, from
What's
head
up?
to toe.
Listen.
You're a model.
Yeah. So here's my favorite car that Michael drove. I'm trying to keep this back.
Can you tell this thing is kind
my
of jumping around? We're race cars.
So,
we're doing
my favorite car.
You know, Michael, I've seen you show up on set before.
I know.
Michael
I know.
showed
I thought
up
you were
with
supposed to be in
shoes on
charge
set
here.
one time. What's that?
I thought you were supposed to be in charge.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So hold on.
Those them are no. They were like moccasins, like green ones, and I think we were on the green set, and his feet were gone, and we were like,
never-
we're not going to be able to wear these
That'd be
today.
cool.
I've just
That would
never
be
seen
cool.
anything quite buttoned up as that.
I'm sorry. So you ought to see my underwear. So So
don't you start.
Hold on. My favorite car is that slope back Pontiac Hawaiian Punch car, dude, because we could get free Hawaiian Punch, and everybody likes a good Hawaiian Punch. You know what I mean? So of all those cars through that period of time, because you drove for the Bears and stuff, and what was that time like in your career? Honestly,
I was so unbelievable that I was sharing the racetrack with Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Kyle Petty. Like, I literally there was no development for me. I just wound up in Cup because I went to see Humpy Wheeler, who's the Hall of Fame promoter. And I said, if I can get $2,500 for tires, I can run the Coke 600 in 1985. And I had only been in a 4-cylinder dash car. And Humpy said, I'll give you $2,500 and you give it a try. And I qualified 19th for the Coke 600. Didn't know any idea what I was doing. I out-qualified Richard Petty. Sorry, Rich.
Whoa. Them fighting words right there, Mike.
That's a big deal. That is when you qualify for your first Cup race and you beat some of those guys. Yeah. It's a big deal.
I thought I'm the man, and then 462 races later, I realized I wasn't.
I like it for the fact that you're honest about some of these things that went on.
So, you were. I'm going to ask a question here. I'm going to ask him a question.
Yeah, listen,
I'm
you
sorry.
do this
I don't
for a living too.
I don't mean to step on you.
That's her job.
I know it is, but I want to ask him a question.
Kyle does this for a living. He just got an award tonight.
I love that video, and that was a great video. That really was a great video. Who the people that put that video together, but I love the way they described Darrell's wit. I don't think Richard and Cale. I don't think my dad and Cale and Pearson and those guys thought he was very witty. Do you? I mean, you were there during that period of time.
Well, let's put it this way. When Darrell Waltrip came to drive for Junior Johnson, he was replacing my hero, Cale Yarborough. I didn't really like him. So in 1981, Junior did a deal where he said, Jeff, I think you'd be better off staying at the shop and building cars, and I'd bring you in on the weekend to pit it. Whatever you want, Junior. Just keep that sumbitch away from me. That's why I felt about it. I mean, I really did. It was not any kind of anything more than a love-hate relationship. But as the season went along in 1981, I got educated because I had worked with Cale Yarborough. And Cale Yarborough was, I'll use this analogy, he was the Joe Frazier of NASCAR. Tough as anybody you've ever seen. And he could handle the heat. I mean, the deal was we liked it hot and slick. Racetrack as slick as can be and hot as hell inside these race cars because we'd wear a lot of people down because of his determination. With Darrell, he was a guy, and when I got to watch how he did things, he was the Muhammad Ali, you know, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee deal. And he was always looking for how to get an advantage on somebody mentally. More than anything else. He was a lot more mental guy than people give him credit for. Not so much physical like Cale, but more mental. And throughout the 81 season, I got educated on the two forms. So in the beginning of 82, when Darrell didn't have a crew chief, you know, I grew some guts, or whatever you want to call it, walked in the office and said, Junior, I want to be Darrell's crew chief. Because I knew this cat was going places, and was doing things, and was educating a lot of us in the garage area because he does know how to give good feedback. Would you agree to that, Michael? I mean, you're
100%.
He's got a good feel. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity to work with somebody I knew was going places. So I got the break. In 82, we got together, and we mended fences. And in the end, the reason why Darrell and I got along so well, whatever he said, no matter how he said it, and you know, you've listened to him on the radio, he can be a little bit demanding and a lot of bit irritable and cuss you like a redheaded stepchild. But I learned that you deal with that, and whatever's said on Sunday is forgot on Monday. And that's what made us work for the years we were together. Even though we'd like to say we had a love-hate relationship. We'd get married, then we'd get a divorce. We'd get married again, when to get another divorce. You know, we were in and out a lot, But in the in and out, we produced some numbers. And fortunately, let me stop here and say this, because if I don't, I'll forget. I talked to Darrell before I came in here. He and Stevie, they were going to a Bible study that they had planned, and he couldn't get out of it. Billy Malden's up there. You know, Darrell and Stevie are very involved in their church and different things with MRO. He does extend his gratitude for everything that you're doing for him here tonight, along with Michael. And he wishes he was here. And he said, God bless everybody. He loves everybody. And he really appreciates this organization and what they represent. So he's here in spirit. But talking about spirit, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, Darrell's a great champion, and he does a lot of things, you know, for the sport and continues to love it. But like I say, we got through so many things because we realized, you know, he needed somebody to beat up, and that was me. He needed somebody to be a cheerleader, and that was me. And I was the luckiest son of a gun in the world because I got to work with these guys. I remember when Michael won your first, would have been the Busch Grand National race. We had so much fun, and because Darrell was saying, I'm going to let him have a chance to run. You're going to get a race car to what you're going to do. In the end, you produced. Yeah. And we had our cup crew come over and helped Eddie Jones and Darrell to get it produced, and it turned out to be really good for Michael and everybody else.
For Michael and for Kyle, you know, I hear you guys talking about your first time getting into racing, and it almost sounds like you didn't know what you didn't know, right? You were kind of just going. But what you did know is that you had Waltrip, that name, that you were you had to basically represent that name, and the same for you, for Petty. How much did you think about that? Did it bring you pride? Did it bring you nerves? Did it bring you excitement? What was that like for you guys? Because there's not a lot of people that are in the garage, race car drivers, who are literally born into the sport, and that's what you guys represent.
I think Kyle and I are a little bit different because he was at the shop. His dad owned the team. He was there from the time he was a kid, and that was his life. And there was a car for Kyle from the time he was a kid, if that's what he chose to do. And when he chose to do it, he took advantage of it, and he was good at what he did, and he won cup races. For me, it was a little bit different because my brother left Kentucky. He's 16 years older than me, and he left me back in Kentucky, and he went off to do whatever he did, and I was just a fan. So, but I had my last name. I didn't have no money. I don't know car, but I had my last name that my brother made important. And so I just took that last name and went to, from the time I was 16 years old, went to sponsors and said, my brother's a NASCAR star. Maybe you want to put your name on the side of my car. And that's how, you know, everybody talks about kids that buy rides today. I wasn't able to buy one, but I used what I had. And Kyle didn't need to buy one, but he took advantage of what he had. So people that talk about rich kids that come up and they're just they don't know what it's all about. Well, that's bullshit to me, because if they're able to win and cup, they're the best in the world. Like that's unheard of to be able to accomplish that. So I think we all get here differently. I'm just so thankful for my big brother Darrell, because not only did he give me my last name to mean something in the motorsports world, he gave me direction. He gave me hope. He gave me inspiration. He made me want to do what he did. And he was my hero, and he never let me down. He always was there to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and that meant so much to me. And then if it weren't for Darrell, I wouldn't have met Kyle, wouldn't have met Richard, you know, and it just I'm so thankful for my brother Darrell and the relationships that I was able to form because of my brother.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Let me digress here a little bit, and people may remember this, but I wanted to ask Michael, did you and Darrell ever talk about your crash in Bristol? Because you know, back then we're standing there, we're watching him race, and on the back of Junior Johnson's little bread truck that we used to take to Bristol, and we watched the most horrific crash that I had ever witnessed at that time. And your brother dropped to his knees, and he hollered, "Oh my God, he's dead." you know, and it was just like that. I mean, it was, you know, like we're all going, because we'd never seen it. I mean, this car disintegrated. And
Or disintegrated, as he called it.
whatever he wanted to call
He
it.
added a couple other syllables in there.
Yeah.
He was on TV and he said his car just disintegrated.
Well, he was emotionally a little bit distraught. But the thing was, he grabbed me and he said, go see if he's okay. And it's like, I take off and I'm going up toward the crash, and all of a sudden I feel something touching me. And your brother was behind me all the way, but he was kind of like, almost like he's hiding behind me, like somebody shooting at us. You know what I'm saying? He had to get there, but he was so concerned.
But he didn't want to be the first one.
He didn't want to be the first
Yeah.
one
Didn't
right
want to
there.
be the first
And the thing was, neither did I.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, folks. I mean, I've seen some crashes in my day.
Yeah, it was,
And that
bad.
one right there, it
Yeah.
took the cake.
Right.
Took the cake.
It was, but the best, like there's so many great stories. Dale Earnhardt came into the infield care center.
Yeah.
1990 is when that was, 4/7/1990. I remember that day because I feel every day
In infamy.
a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, a gift from God. But Dale walked into the infield care center, and there I sat like this, and everybody's like, he should be dead. And I'm like, what's wrong with everybody? I'm fine. And Dale walked in and he said, you're one tough sumbitch, I'll tell you that. And he walked out, and I told the nurses, I'm like, Dale Earnhardt thinks I'm a tough sumbitch.
But Michael,
how many?
The thing is, when we're running up there,
Yeah.
and we're looking at, I mean, it imploded.
I mean,
if I was
It's like
sitting on
watching
this
a building
floor right
implode.
now, but that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
His seat was on the racetrack.
Yeah.
But then the other funny thing that happened that day was Kyle was in that race, and me and Kyle are buddies.
We were talking about it yesterday.
They red flagged the race, you know, because everybody thought I was dead. And they red flagged the race, and it's quiet. You know, the grandstands are like, ugh.
Yeah.
And Kyle gets out of his car to run to see me. And evidently Kyle had roughed up another driver. And he's on his way to see me, and one of his crew guys grabs Kyle and he says, "Hey, sumbitch!"
One of his sons.
You wrecked our car. He said, "I'll be back to whoop your ass in a minute. I got to go check on Michael."
Tommy,
I'm gonna go check on Michael, but you stay right here, and I'll be back to whoop your ass too.
Evidently, I'd run over Tommy Houston at some point in time during the day, and I didn't recognize. And one of his kids grabbed me and spun me around, and he said, "We're gonna whip your ass." And
He
I
said, "Stay right here.
Stay right. Get your brothers, get your daddy, get everybody. Stay right here. I got to go see if Michael's okay, and then I'll come back and whip your ass. That's what I'm going to do."
You see all the great things that came out of that crazy crash. But when they lifted the hood off, or
that was
the
crazy,
roof
man.
off of there, and you're sitting up in there, and folks, I mean, he's kind of like, you know, like a newborn baby.
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all?
So if you haven't seen it, you can YouTube it. It's Michael Waltrip
Yeah.
Bristol crash 1990.
Oh, yeah.
and
It's crazy.
And
Yeah.
I raced the next day, so I don't really understand. I'm just really blessed to be here.
Yeah, very.
I love that.
very.
That's great. I want to know for you guys particularly, just because you're in media right now, if you had to cover Michael Waltrip back in 1990, what would you, as a media person reporting on Michael, what would you have to say about Michael Waltrip?
Well, he's seems to be lighthearted.
Great hair.
Just has
Great hair.
Beautiful hair. Doesn't seem to really care about much. Doesn't seem to be too focused. But then you put him in a car, and you know he goes pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't mean to be perceived as a guy that didn't seem to take it too seriously, because I did. You know, Kyle knows this.
Yeah.
You can't do what we did if you're not just totally committed and into it. But I don't know. I just felt like I was pretty blessed and lucky, and I wanted the fans to see a fun side. And so what I think's most interesting about that, we all know the legend and what Dale Earnhardt was and how tough he was and how serious he was. But he knew me, and he knew that what I was portraying was just an act, and he knew how bad I wanted it, and that's how we became buddies. He liked the soft side of me, the fun side of me, but he also liked the competitive side of me, so much so that a lot of people don't know this, but I drove, for my first race for him was unfortunately the day that he died. But back in the 80s, he liked what I was doing so much, he let me drive his Busch car that he owned himself. So we were always close, and we always hung out between races, which I don't know how many drivers these days have the kind of relationship that Dale and I did. They're all friendly, but we'd go on vacations together, and so I think he saw that even though I looked like I was a goofball, I was pretty serious about what I did.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this about Michael. When you look at, and it's the same today. It's the same today. You worked for Junior. Those were winning cars. Those were winning race cars. And when you have an opportunity and you finally get to that level, when we came along, there were A cars and B cars and C level cars. Now everything's, it's incredible how these cars are today. But you still have to be in a good car with a good team and good equipment to make something happen. And if you go back and you look at Michael's career, and he jokingly talks about 400 and some races or whatever it was.
It's not a joke, Kyle.
Yeah. No. But here's the thing. Those weren't winning cars. They just weren't winning cars. And I'm sorry. Richard Petty could have got in them, and Darrell Waltrip could have got in them, and Dale Earnhardt. They weren't winning race cars. So but people in the garage area see that, and people in the garage area know that. When you're in that group, you watch a guy and you say, man, he's doing something. And every time Michael got in an Xfinity car, or Busch car, and had an opportunity, he won races. Go back and look. He won races. The one thing, and I said this the other day, and I meant it, the one thing Michael could always do, is he could take a piece of crap at Daytona and Talladega and make something happen with it. Make something happen with it. You'd see it'd run 9th, it'd run 10th, it'd run 15th. But that was a 30th place car. It's a 25th place car. But he put it in position and understood. So when he finally got an opportunity with a team that could win races, he won races at those places because he had perfected what it was like to drive on a super speedway. He understood where the wind was. He understood where to put his car. And he capitalized on it. And that's kind of what his answer before with the name Waltrip. That was an entree. That was a door. That cracked the door. But once you get through that door, you got to be able to stay, because they'll kick you right back out the door. They'll shove you right back out the door. He stayed. He stayed for a lot of reasons. He stayed because he was competitive. He stayed because of his personality. He stayed because he was good for the sport. And then when the opportunity came to win, he won big. He won at big places and on the big stage. And I think that the Michael Waltrip story is a story of perseverance. It's a story of dedication. It's not a story of lackadaisical, I don't care. It's a story of being there day in and day out. It's a story of putting in the hours so when the time did come, you could take advantage of it. And that's what I've always admired about Michael, is that he never, ever, ever gave up. Never, ever gave up. And I appreciate
that's well said. And I'll go one step more. His personality. He put his personality out in front, and he always was not scared to make fun of himself. I mean, you were respectful to the people who sponsored you, but along the way, if you wanted to do something or wanted him to do something that a little bit out of character, something that Richard Petty would probably never do, Darrell Waltrip would never do, David Pearson would never do, but Michael Waltrip, I ain't scared. I mean, that's what I've always admired about you, was that you had a fun side, but when you got behind the wheel, it's like you threw the light switch the other way, and you said, "Okay,
you may have gone too far with Dancing with the Stars, but I mean, other than that, I was good. I was with you. I was with you right up to that moment.
There you go. Give us the moves.
So
we played racquetball off the bank in Talladega one time. Remember that, Michael?
So that's enough about me, Shannon. What do you think about me?
Well, I think you're awesome, but you have great hair and you're one tough son of a bitch. I know, but Kyle has made this all about you because you did get the award. You got an award tonight too, by the way. So that's why you're up here as well. Remember? did. You
I'm
did.
the only
That's a true
loser.
sto-
I'm the only
Hey,
loser up here.
I
That
didn't get
first
to work.
interview, that's a true story, man.
I love that.
It's hilarious.
Did you do that to anybody else or just Kyle?
Him.
Just
It
yeah.
made me so happy because here's what he did. He said, Michael, you're starting on the pole. How do you feel about today? And he put the microphone there. And I went, and I didn't say any words.
Nothing.
And then Kyle goes,
Yeah. It is. You got to see it, man. And there's the trading card. The best part is there's some guy snapped a picture while all this was going on, and there's a trading card. One of those trading cards. And it's Michael sitting in there, and he's just smiling. He's smiling like he just ate 16 parakeets. I'm telling you.
Kyle's hair is flowing.
Yes. Yeah.
Flowing. I mean, it is perfect. And he's going
blank. I'm like, I didn't get a
It was
D-
his
on
first-
this
Get him
one.
back.
It
Do you
was
get him,
his
ever get him
first
back?
No. Why would you? That was so cool. That's not a payback thing.
It was his first interview ever on ESPN.
Well
Ever.
played.
And that's
Ever.
his memory.
Well played.
That is my memory, man. Yeah.
That's your memory of Michael. I know we're probably going to have to start to wrap this up, and I know this has been a lot of reflection, but I do want you to answer this as well, Kyle. If your younger self, if you could kind of like, what do you think that your younger self would think about the career that you've put together? I know everybody hates to kind of like look back and reflect and all that stuff because we're not there yet, but I do feel like tonight is a little bit of that. So what would 19-year-old, 20-year-old Michael Waltrip that was moving in with the King and Kyle have to say about this man standing here right now?
I would just say I'm thankful. Like I'm thankful for my brother Darrell because that's how I grew up. Like Kyle was sort of inside the garage because of his family. I was hanging on the fence, but I wanted to be just like my big brother Darrell. I wanted to go win NASCAR races, and so I just look back and think, if it weren't for that direction, and I feel, I think about kids all the time these days that are lost and don't know where they're headed. He gave me direction, and I'm so thankful for my brother to do that. And then because of that, meeting amazing humans like Kyle Petty and Richard Petty who saw me and maybe saw how bad I wanted it and what it meant to me and helped me get that opportunity. So it's just I would just say people. I'm so thankful for great humans that influenced me, and that's what I hope for young kids. When I see 12-year-olds that are racing, I'm just like, I hope you've got somebody that has got you focused on what you want to do and you're not lost. Direction is huge. And I'm thankful for my brother, like I said, but equally as thankful for this man and that cat, the cat in the hat.
And when they mention, Kyle, everything that you've done for the sport, it's like you almost kind of forget everything that you have been involved in, from charitable, to your career, to what you're doing now. And so same kind of question, because, again, you were born into this sport.
Yeah.
You had a lot to kind of follow, and you have made your own path.
So it's funny because I was blessed. I grew up with the race shop right there. And from the time I was 10, 11, 12 years old, I was at the race shop. When I started going to, and I tell people this is a crazy story. I was in Riverside and saw Dan Gurney win in a Wood Brothers car in a number 121 because I thought it was the baddest ass thing in the world to have 3 numbers on the side of a Cup car. You know what I mean? Because it was just cool. So you go back that far, and one day you wake up and you've been around forever, and it feels that way. But I was very blessed to grow up with my grandfather and with my father, for sure. And to be there and to be able to watch what they did and how they did things, and do that. But I've said this before, and Michael and Darrell are the same way. I've said this before. If you could put my grandfather here and my dad here, and myself there, and put Adam over there, and we were all sitting here, and you guys were asking us questions, you wouldn't even think we were related. You know what I mean? Because we were 4 totally different people. But the one thing we did do was love race cars and love race people and love to be around it. And I tell people this a lot of times when you're talking to and Michael talks about kids, keeping kids focused, is when I was a little boy and we had a circle driveway and I had a bicycle, and I'd ride around. I had a mini bike, and I'd ride around. I dreamed that I was racing Bobby Allison and Richard Petty and David Pearson and Cale Yarborough and all those guys. I was racing those guys. When I dreamed at night, I dreamed about sitting in a seat and hanging on to the steering wheel. I didn't dream about doing interviews. I didn't dream about having sponsors. I didn't dream about that. You dream about just driving the race car. And I think if you keep that, and that's the one thing that I will take from Richard Petty forever, okay? Because driving a race car was your golf and your hunting and your hobbies and everything. That's what it was. You didn't need anything else. All you needed to do was be able to crawl in that window. Just crawl in that window on a Sunday afternoon or on a Saturday afternoon and hang on to a steering wheel. And sometimes there were cars passing you, and sometimes you were passing cars. But it was still a good day, still a damn good day, and a great way to make a living. And when you look back on it, I remember the races. You remember races you lost. You remember races you won. But you remember the people you worked with. You remember the people on other teams. You remember the things that went on and the people you meet along the way. And I think that's the cool part for me. When I look at my career, and you say this, and I heard a guy the other day, and I'm gonna use his answer. He had a reporter ask him. This was a number of years ago. They were an NBA team, and had a reporter ask him. They got knocked out in the playoffs, and the reporter said, "Is your year a failure? Do you think that your year has been a failure?" And he said, he looked at the guy and he said, "You know, you asked me that question last year, and I didn't have a good answer." And he said, "But it stuck with me for a solid year. It stuck with me." And he said, "Here's my answer. No, it's not a failure." He said, "Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. Were the other 9 years failures? No. He tried his best. He did everything he could. And every night when he went home from a game, it was not a failure. It was just a different, he had to recalibrate and go back the next day." And Michael and I won races. We didn't win tons of races like Richard Petty. We didn't win tons of races like Darrell Waltrip and these other guys. But by God, we won races. And we competed with those guys. So when I look at a career and I look at the things I did, the things Jeff did, the things Michael have done, we're not failures. You just put it out there, man. And you go and do it. And you do something that you love. And you have that opportunity. And my family has been a part of this sport forever. And they afforded me that opportunity. Michael worked his way into this sport. Jeff worked his way into this sport. But once you're in, you're in. And that's it. And I said it from this stage when we had the Hall of Fame. This is family. And that's the crazy thing about motorsports. I don't care if you run in a straight line or if you zigzag while you're getting there on a road course or if you run in ovals. It makes no difference. Motorsports is a family. And we are all very, very blessed in this room. Michael and I are doubly blessed. Jeff's doubly blessed to have been able to be a part of it at some point in time. But we're more blessed to still be able to hang out and do this kind of stuff.
I know when there's a drop the mic moment, and that was it. So we're just going to end it on that. They might get upset if you do drop the mic, but that was beautifully said, Kyle. Beautifully, beautifully said. Because it's true.
It's just a real honor to be here, and I really appreciate everybody that came. I appreciate Greg and Hondros for inviting me, Truist and the NCMA, and how much you've done for motorsports in North Carolina, bringing all these folks together. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for the honor. I know my brother would be able to, he would say the same, he'd have the same sentiments about how cool this is. We reflect, and we're appreciative, and we're thankful. And when you can bring your family together like that group I got over there, and see friends here as well to talk about good times we've had in this world, it means a lot to me. And to share the stage with Hammond, Hollywood, and Kyle Petty.
Love this guy.
And Shannon, thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys for having me up here. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Let's give all these guys and Winston and David and everyone else that made this night possible a big hand.
There is nothing I can add to the great philosopher that is Kyle Petty. Give a round of applause. Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, and Shannon Spake for herding these cats. Thank you for being here tonight. Have a great rest of your HPX week and a great rest of your 2025. Thanks for being a part of it. Have a great evening. Drive safely.